All right, everybody, we have another live broadcast coming to you on YouTube from Full Spectrum Survival. Today is January 30th. It's around 8:30 p.m. Central Time. There is obviously so much going on in our world, especially with what's coming in from the administration. We have all these hearings. We have the confirmation of what's about to take place. Now, I suspect that we're going to start to see some pretty rough things here inside the United States of America within the next couple of weeks, and I think it's up to us and our responsibility to start to prepare for those things to happen. Now, what's going to happen and how long is it going to take? Well, that's anyone's guess. I do think that we're going to start to see a little bit more violence here inside of our country than we have in recent weeks, and we have reports that there is already acts of violence taking place against common citizens. Now, we know that they are attacking or attempting to attack members of law enforcement as well as those coming into positions of power. Kash Patel, perfect example. Hexeth, he was recently seen as part of an assassination attempt. We already know they're coming after Trump. There is so much going on out there. So guys, let's check in from wherever you're coming in from around the United States of America, or in some cases around the world. From me, I'm at the southern end of the Appalachian Trail, north end of Alabama, here in one of the last states in the United States of America that you don't have to pay property tax after you're 65 years old. But we do have a lot going on. The first thing we have here is scientists saying they've discovered a sleeping giant, that California is peeling apart deep beneath the Earth's surface. They say they discovered evidence that the state of California is peeling apart. They found dense rocks under the Sierra Nevada mountain range. They say it's detaching and sinking deeper into the mantle. It's a process that scientists say is called foundering. Now, what this means for our future, now they're going to definitely tell you it's because you drive a combustion vehicle. They're going to tell you it's hey, MT Ice, glad to see you. They're going to tell you that it's because you have a chainsaw. Maybe it's because you breathe too much or the cows have too much flatulence. They're going to blame it on you one way or the other. What I know is we're in part of a really bad, cyclical global change. And this is going to continue to change until we have some sort of bottoming out. Claiborne, thank you, Brad. Your the content brought me back to your channel. Hey, I'm glad for that. I appreciate that. So they said that they used techniques to map the lower crust and uppermost mantle of the Sierra Nevada. The study not only determined that areas separated several million years ago, but that it's currently happening as we speak. They say they captured snapshots of a fundamental continent building process. Now, this comes on the heels of some geologists and volcanologists saying that we would this year have a huge volcanic event right off the coast of California. Now, whether it comes with a tectonic shift and whether it comes with a tsunami, we don't know yet. I know that we are ripe for a nuclear disaster on the heels of an earthquake, and we're just going to have to kind of see what happens there. Look at this mystery of burning river that is so hot it boils its victims alive. I think that's, and we got Texas rocked by earthquakes less than 24 hours. Here's this burning river. Now, you know they want me to watch their ads, but I'm not good. I'm going to F5 and escape. The idea of a river that is so hot it boils its victims. Geez, that sounds scary. The river is called Shanay Timpishka. It's in Peru. Can reach temperatures of 100 degrees Celsius or 200 degrees Fahrenheit. To put that into everyday terms, they say the average coffee is 130 degrees Fahrenheit. It will physically burn your skin off of your body. Well, you know where I'm not going, folks. Now, let's hope we don't have this kind of post-apocalyptic thing happen here in the USA. The analysis on what's happening in California said that earthquakes could shift this in the wrong direction. By Earth's continental crust, they say the land we live on, made up of solid rock, contains minerals, silicates, aluminum, potassium, but underneath it, things are melting away. So now, whether they're just getting us ready, I know we just saw that the report from NASA and a couple of other space scientists that said, hey, you've got a year and then maybe there's like an 8% chance we all die because of a large asteroid hitting Earth. So that was kind of on the same level as this, that maybe something real earth-shattering is going to take place. And in that case, you just hope that you are in for in the right place at the right time. So people are saying what happened to Kash Patel. Well, he's been on the edge of threats against his life and his family's life. And he's also, what I mean by fighting for his life is trying to get into that position where he is literally fighting tooth and nail to try to make the country, the position that he's going to be in, a better place. Let's get into some of what he has been saying. Let me shift this video. I've got it inverted here because, YouTube isn't such a big fan of me making it easy to view.
Sounds to me like we need to get some new conspiracy theories because all the old ones.
This was interesting.
Like we need to get some new conspiracy theories because all the old ones turned out to be true.
Facts matter, Senator.
Yeah. I mean.
So this is Kennedy telling Kash Patel that we need to introduce some new conspiracy theories here inside the USA because all the old ones ended up actually being less theory and more evolving fact.
Conspiracy sounds to me like we need to get some new conspiracy.
Thank you, Timothy McCoy says thank you and all that you and Miss Kelly do. I've been following you for a couple of years now. I really appreciate it, and thanks for the super chat.
Theories, because all the old ones turned out to be true.
Facts matter, Senator.
Yeah. I mean, conspiracy theorists are up something like 37-0.
37-0. Isn't that wild? Let's see what else.
Mr. Vice Chairman, Edward Snowden broke the law. I do not agree with or support with all of the information and intelligence that he released, nor the way in which he did it. There would have been opportunities for him to come to you on this committee or seek out the IG to release that information. The fact is, he also, even as he broke the law, released information that exposed egregious, illegal, and unconstitutional programs that are happening within our government that led to serious reforms that Congress undertook.
Chairman, we got 5 minutes. So I take your answer, and these are your quotes.
Now listen to this. Okay, so they're talking, and for anybody who doesn't know who this is, Gabbard coming in, let's do just a quick Google search so everyone can kind of see what's up. Tulsi Gabbard. American politician, military officer, serving as a lieutenant colonel at the U.S. Army Reserve since 2021. Coming into a position, the senators are grilling her at a hearing to be the intelligence chief. Now, the real tricky part with me doing that, okay, here we go, back to it.
Please join my bipartisan legislation calling for charges to be dropped against him. Do you disagree that legislation was not appropriate? Do you believe he is brave or not?
Yeah,
back those words?
Once again, Senator, Edward Snowden broke the law.
So interesting. Now, I did see a lot of calls for Snowden to be pardoned under Trump. I don't think he can do that yet. I think they'll make a promise, and that promise will be like, hey, we'll pardon you, but it's going to have to wait until the smoke kind of clears for this. I do think Trump is going to pardon him. You can come back to this video in the future. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments if you think along the same lines, but I don't think they're going to do it yet because that'll be seen as too much kind of collusion with criminal elements because there is obviously an admission of guilt here with what he did, but the fact that what he let out to the public showed that the government was acting criminally. So here we have a kind of a confusion of laws, right? So the government was acting unconstitutionally and criminally in the ways that it was monitoring citizens that they're supposed to be governing or citizens that they're supposed to be taking care of. This guy broke the law by the way that he found and disseminated that information. So I haven't seen any government officials get in any sort of like heat or boil because of this, but Snowden sure did. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Kevin Algerio, thank you so much. Good evening, Brad, and the rest of the FSS family. It's really great to be doing these live shows. I think that it allows us to really look at what's happening. We get to watch some video, kind of see what's going on there. We get to comment on it. We get to talk about all the different things that are happening. Dead Chicken says, been following you since you first broke 1,000 subscribers. Never said anything till now. Well, thanks for first time calling. Thank you so much from Canada. You are prepped and ready. Yeah, so let's keep listening.
Released information
we agree that Edward Snowden
that
broke
exposed the
law.
United States
Asking
government's
you a question whether
illegal
your
programs.
legislation and your words are still your beliefs.
What a train wreck. You know, I play Dungeons and Dragons with my kids, and you know, there's a thing called what's it called, railwaying or railroading. So basically, you're gonna control the narrative. It can only go on the tracks, right? Just like a train. And so the narrative can only go on the track. So listen to how they ask these questions, and then they railroad her into not being able to even answer them. They just shut her down right away.
So now, please.
I'm making myself very clear.
Hey,
Edward
Storm,
Snowden
glad to
broke
see
the
you
law.
here. Storm's a
He
longtime
released
friend of the
information
channel here and a
about the
moderator.
United States
Ma'am,
government's
I've got other issues
illegal
to raise.
activities.
Ma'am,
If I may just finish my thoughts.
I
Senator.
agree, Magic Prepper.
In this role that I've been nominated for, if confirmed as Director of National Intelligence, I will be responsible for protecting our nation's secrets. And I have 4 immediate steps that I would take to prevent another Snowden-like leak.
Interesting. Definitely interesting. Gold prices surging. Let me flip this around here. Gold prices, we see they are surging to all-time highs, $2,840 an ounce, up 40% in 12 months. Now, these future watchers say that gold is telling us something, and I think you're right. Did you know, and I think I have a tab up here somewhere, that the current president of the United States of America accepted gold as a down payment or even a full payment on a lease. Why? Because gold has held its value longer than the United States dollar, of course, longer than any other currency that we have ever had on this planet. Gold keeps doing it. Now, do I have the money to play in gold? Absolutely not. Do I even have the money to play seriously in silver? No, I don't. So my precious metals come in the form of lead and brass. Let's see, but gold definitely on the rise. So we need to pay attention to that, even if you don't have gold, or even if you don't consider it a viable way to manage your investment, which I'm not an investor. I'm not giving you any advice. You have to watch it and be like, okay, something is definitely changing here. All right, we got another video, so I'm going to switch this around.
As the chairman of this committee believes, as the vast majority of members of our intelligence agencies believe, that Edward Snowden was a traitor to the United States of America.
Senator, if confirmed as
This is when the
Director of
rubber hits
National
the road.
Intelligence,
This is
I
what-
will
this is
work
not-
with you to make sure
this
that
is-
there.
See, these guys are mad, right? And why are they mad? Why? Is it because they operated some of the information that got out, and so they got, screwed a little bit?
It's not a moment for
Snowden-like
social
leak.
media. It's not a moment to propagate theories, conspiracy theories, or attacks on journalism in the United States. This is
Mr.
when you
HVAC
need
says
to
gold
answer
prices
the
are a good
questions
indicator of
the
social
people whose
chaos. That's
votes
right.
You're asking for to be confirmed as the chief intelligence officer of this nation.
Somebody, why can't this dude, maybe he's got a cut or something. Is that a cut on his eyebrow? Maybe he got roughed up a little bit before the broadcast. So you're gonna say these things. I don't know, but I thought he had some power eyebrow hair going on. Let's see what else we've got. Okay, here's Bernie Sanders. I'm sure you guys have seen this clip, but it's definitely worth listening to. Now, Bernie Sanders, he's going to tell you all day long how it's bad for you to have money.
Right. Now, how did I get the money? You're right. I wrote 2 best-selling books, including this book on capitalism. It was New York Times bestseller for a while. And also another book was a youth book. And I make, $175,000 a year. And that's more or less how I became the zillionaire that I am.
So he's making a joke about being a zillionaire, of course, but he wrote a book on the evils of capitalism, and people bought it under a capitalist system to make him enough money so that he could afford all of his homes and vehicles and the nice life that he lives. So it's just a little bit of a reminder that there's a lot of bread and circus show going on, a lot of smoke and mirrors too. This is firefighters and rescue teams responding to a helicopter crash in Honduras. Now, we had that horrible helicopter, Black Hawk chopper, and plane crash last night, right? We covered that live, almost live on air. It was covering within 15, 20 minutes. And then today, you had multiple countries suffer flight issues. It's interesting. You just got to push and say, okay, well, there's definitely something worth watching here. I'm not getting up on a plane if I can avoid it. In fact, I haven't been on one since I was in my youth. Went on a trip with my parents. Why? because I just don't need to. And I'd rather not if I can avoid it. So no worries there. But here we have firefighters and rescue teams responding to a helicopter crash in Honduras, one of the multiple crash events or takedown of their system events that we had happen around the world today. The plane crash happened 30 minutes from my house. That is wild. I mean, now I heard Doomsday Plane was up. DLD, did you hear anything similar? Hey, JA, thanks so much for being a member and for making these live shows possible for everybody. So DLD said that the plane crash happened 30 minutes from his house. Did you hear anything about the Doomsday Plane being rerouted because of it? Now, I also have some very interesting audio here. Let me see if there's anything left on this video. Okay. I do have... Okay, listen to this, okay?
Man, meet up with you, please. I want to take one. You can take two, please.
So I'm at Row 49, sir.
Copy.
EMS branch from Airport Firepoint 378.
Go ahead.
Per our conversation earlier, I just spoke with Command Center out here on the water. They advised, as far as they know, they have one body that was taken to D.C. That is all they know so far.
Okay, so I'm hearing multiple reports of this, and maybe they are just surrounded around this audio from search and rescue, where they're saying that they have had at least one body recovered from the crash site that was taken directly to Washington, D.C. Very interesting on that. Like, we probably won't even hear about what was going on there. And I don't know if you understand how we move people around this country, or how we even move people around politically in kind of like the shadows around our world. A lot of times they'll get military driven by or taken by the military. A lot of times, because you don't have any red tape then. Like if we're trying to get somebody on a passenger plane and they're not supposed to be there, well, now you've got to have fake passes or somebody walking them through. There's cameras everywhere. Well, you know where there isn't? In the military. So there's only accountability from the military through the military and the government. So definitely worth watching out and seeing who was taken to D.C.
They advised, as far as they know, they have one body that was taken to D.C. That is all they know so far. They'll confirm and get back with you.
Thanks so much, Myths. A couple shekels for the game. Yeah, I appreciate you. Love your work, and I'm glad you're here.
Got it. Thank you. Man, meet up with you, please. I want to take one. You can take two, please.
Okay, DLD. Yeah, you just let everybody know what you can find out. So interesting. Who was important enough to be taken directly to D.C., and why isn't more information coming out on that? Atlanta, Georgia, not too far away from me here.
On that day.
On that day specifically,
What were you doing on that day?
On that day specifically, responding to, preparing to mobilize and deploy the National Guard once we got the lawful request from the local governing authority, which was the mayor of D.C. and the Speaker of the House.
Now, how many days in advance were you working to prepare the Department of Defense to help secure the Capitol on January 6th?
Days in advance, Senator, we were in the Oval Office on an unrelated national security matter with the President of the United States, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and myself. And the President authorized up to 20,000 plus National Guardsmen and women to secure any security measures necessary related to the Capitol. So we were moving to the fullest extent of the law before the...
Bob, a lot of people say that the Diddy files went up in flames in California. There was a couple of data centers over there that had got hit by those Palisades and those other fires. Now, I don't know. I mean, there's just so much corruption. Who can really even say?
Requisite request came from a local governing authority.
I don't even know what is he trying to say here? That the mayor refused 20,000 National Guard troops mobilized by Trump.
30 days ahead.
And explanation meant she said no, don't send National Guard. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a simple question, because from the questioning from my Democrat colleagues, they might think otherwise. Do you condemn violence against law enforcement?
All of it.
Folks, I'm not funded.
Okay, so definitely interesting going on there. A lot of information. YouTube hates the AJ, so we're going to cut you off, AJ. China wins again. Alibaba recently dropped their Qwen 2.5 Max artificial intelligence. Now, this is a generated video right here. This is AI. And look for artifacts in the background. So I'm an AI guy. I'm a tech guy. I'm watching for continuity in the background because it's going to be hard to tell soon what is real and what isn't real. Okay? Yeah, they do hate his voices. Let's see. So look for continuity in the background. Of course, the faces are too blurry to really tell who it is, but they'll change that with some depth of field, depth of focus, blurring. So short of a little bit of bokeh in the background that kind of makes it so that it makes sense to your brain that the background is not as crisp and in focus, this AI video is crazy. Here's another one, striking a block with a hammer, sparks flying. Now this one, of course, I can tell. Okay, that's not real. It just looks too jumpy. Obviously, okay. Our movies soon are all going to be artificial intelligence. Will they charge you less for them? No. Will Netflix get cheaper? No. Will HBO Max and Prime charge you less? No. But will they make more money? Yes. And if you need to think about it for a second, why your job is in peril or how your future will be, that's exactly what will happen. They will use AI to make everything cheaper to produce, to publish, to get out there in the populace, but it'll be just as expensive or more for you. Not that I'm not looking forward to, better script writing, because now we're at kind of this point where they either pay the actors who are demanding ridiculous amounts of money, or they pay good script writers. And there's no real in between, because if you take a piece of jank script and you throw janky actors at it, it's a garbage movie. And you take a great actor and you throw a janky script at him, it's a janky movie. So this one obviously is real. I've seen this in my hometown. So let's see. Opening the door, reached out, grabbed the door handle. That looks real to me. A lot of continuity and all of that. Interesting. Okay. The neck is looking a little off to me, the way that the neck should have some more wrinkles in it. His hand is moving like he grew up in California with his husband. But other than that, it's all good. Cat is battling yarn. A little fluid, but okay. A lot of softening. Just looks like it could be a filtered video here. Yeah, like companies offering to buy the rights to feed content into AI learning models for future use without your involvement. That's exactly right. So this just looks like it could be a filter. This looks like it could be any old time lapse. Obviously not an elephant. Pretty close, they say, except for this, the funky finger there. But maybe it looks like actually maybe he cheated on his wife. She broke his ring finger, and he just had. That's why they're arguing right here. All right, let's move on. This is a must watch, they say. Rand Paul just went off at the RFK Jr. hearing.
Down that we never. I think the discussion over vaccines is so oversimplified and dumbed down that we never really get to real truths, and it's why people up here are so separated from real people at home. So we talk about hepatitis B. It's a terrible disease. It could lead to liver failures. My kid to take a hepatitis B vaccine when he's 1 day old. You get it through drug use and sexually transmitted. That's how you get hepatitis B. But you're telling me my kid has to take it at 1 day old. That's not science. And so every person with a bit of common sense, even people who don't resist vaccines, I vaccinated all my kids. I believe vaccines are one of the modern miracles beyond all pale. The Speckled Monster is a great book about the introduction of the smallpox vaccine in 1720 into our country. All miracles. But I'm not a one-size-fits-all. It's not all or nothing. I chose to wait on my hepatitis B vaccine, and we did it when they went to school. Does that make me an awful person? Does that make me an anti...
Okay, definitely interesting there. And I want to throw that with, let me see if I can find the video real quick of Warren talking about using, them bankrupting pharmaceutical companies. I'm sure I know I got that wrong. Okay, let's see. Maybe I could find this video. She walks outside and she's like, well, now they're going to just... Okay, here it is.
He intends to continue to make money off his answers are he intends to continue to make money off his anti-vax position. Look, he says he won't go to work for drug companies because the American people have a right to know that the decisions made while he is Secretary of HHS are only for the good of the American people.
Screen's backwards for
And
everybody
yet,
on video.
He wants to keep a piece of the action on every one of these anti-vax lawsuits. And what that means potentially is, as Secretary of HHS, he can make those lawsuits a whole lot more profitable. In fact, he may have the opportunity to bankrupt the vaccine manufacturers.
Oh God, no way. Bankrupt the vaccine manufacturers? God forbid. We have some accountability there.
Have the opportunity to bankrupt the vaccine manufacturers, and then nobody gets vaccine.
Obviously, politicians get handouts from massive corporations. Thanks, Jordan, for clearing that up. I appreciate that. I really need to put if the video is backwards, it's done on purpose, little tag up. So yeah, definitely there's some handout. These people are afraid that cash cow just got slaughtered.
Vaxxer because I questioned the government dictate of whether I do it, and I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm only speaking for myself.
You know, the government say, how that dictate?
Honest debate about these things. The COVID vaccine. If you ask me my opinion, the reporters run up and down the hall and they say, "You still anti-vaccine?" No, I'm pro-vaccine. But on the COVID vaccine and on the
okay, he just goes into talking more about how there's obviously something wrong happening inside of our country. This is Tulsi Gabbard again. We just covered her at the beginning. On Obama, well, let's see what she has to say.
Colonel Gabbard, when Russia was denying us use of chemical weapons, they accused the U.S. of supporting terrorists. This is a line that Putin used frequently.
Thanks, William.
During the Syrian civil war as he supported Assad. Syrian officials made similar comments. They did it repeatedly. They did it in public. They did it at the United Nations. In 2016, you gave an interview in which you said...
Guys, I'm so dyslexic that I know the videos backwards, and I just read now as one, and I was like, oh man, I didn't make it backwards. So you just got to bear with me.
The U.S. is providing direct and indirect support to terrorist groups in order to overthrow the Syrian government.
Hey, duty too.
And in 2019, on the Democratic presidential debate stage, you said of President Trump, this is a quote, "This current president is continuing to betray us. We were supposed to be going after al-Qaeda, but over years now, not only have we not gone after al-Qaeda, our president is supporting al-Qaeda." So
now, I want you to remember, all over the world, parents, I never did this with my kids, but I'm not going to condemn anyone for the way they parent, unless it's hurtful, right? Parents all over the world use the boogeyman to keep their kids in line, right? They use the threat of the unknown to keep their kids in line. And to the government, we're just their children. Like, that's all they think of is we're their dumb, ignorant, don't know any better, wouldn't live without them children. And so they use the boogeyman. Just like a parent says, you know, if you don't, kidnappers are all over. One kid gets kidnapped, in the state in the last 7 years or whatever. Or they say, the boogeyman's going to get you, or the tooth fairy won't come, or Santa Claus won't come, or any other else. They use the threat of something to get their kids to stay in line. And that's exactly what the government does with all these Taliban and Al-Qaeda and all these other places. They use the threat. And sometimes they write the boogeyman's threats. And they write the threats of all these people themselves. So worth considering.
I'm interested to hear, what was your goal in saying these things? And did you consider, before saying them, the motives of Iran and Russia, what their motives might have been before making these claims?
Senator, as someone who enlisted in the military specifically because of al-Qaeda's terrorist attack on 9/11 and committing myself and my life to doing what I could to defeat these terrorists, it was shocking and a betrayal to me and every person.
I don't know, DJ. DJ Nasty said parents don't make false flags to scare their kids. I've heard of more than one parent, using a false flag event of their own making as to why their kid didn't get something or why they didn't follow through with something as a parent. So I would argue that it's not as bad, of course, as what the government does when dictating us, but it's definitely there. Current situation in Mexico. They say thousands of people, as far as the eye can see, illegals arriving from Venezuela and all over the world, now starting to seek asylum in Mexico.
Oficinas de la Comar en Naucalpan, Estado de México, hasta donde están llegando miles
Okay, I'm going to read it to you. I don't know Spanish fluently at all. In fact, I don't know it really at all. And I'm going to read to you what this translation says. If somebody knows better, please let me know so I don't vouch for the validity there. It says there are thousands of people who at this moment are trying to initiate the process of requesting asylum in Mexico, where we are here in the offices of Comar in the state of Mexico. Thousands of people from different nationalities are arriving. Many of them have had the intention of traveling to the United States. Isn't that nice? How many women do you see here? How many children do you see here? But the media wants you to believe that it's only crying women and children who are getting into this country. And I'm not even going to speak on my stance on it. I just want to remind you that that's what the media wants you to see. However, this is not possible, and now they have a plan B to stay into Mexico, he said. According to an unofficial figure, Venezuelan citizens have shared with us that they themselves have organized here to be able to enter. They have pre-registration only of people from Venezuela and Latinas in general, he says. 8,000 people trying to get into the country and seek refuge. He says, let's get a little closer to where they are. Talking about the Haitians, Ecuadorians, Colombians, all organized. Isn't it funny how they're pre-registered and all organized, and they just had their stuff ready to become an illegal member of the United States? It's just wild to me. That's the real questions. And it was just yesterday that we did a video where RFK Jr. said that the pejorative of a conspiracy theorist is a nasty word to stop you from asking the right questions, to make you afraid to ask the right questions. And that's exactly it. Who is organizing this? What nonprofit does your government give your money to do this? Hey, Jeanette. Good afternoon, Brad, and the FSS community. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe and take care. Love from Melbourne, Australia. Well, we're glad to have you over here. Yeah, it's not much of a theory anymore at all. All very organized. Now, what happens between this state and Mexico and when they get to the USA? Because the videos and the images that they show you of people entering the USA, gosh, they look like they have really seen some things. Now here, they look healthy, fine. At least 40% of them are overweight. They obviously have eaten. They only show you pictures and videos of emaciated people entering the USA. U.S. Defense Department employees connected their work computers to the Chinese servers to access DeepSeek, China's new AI chatbot, for at least 48 hours. That was before the Pentagon moved to shut off the access. Now, this sounds like a setup to me, guys. This sounds like a setup for what's going to happen in the future. Hey, Storm, welcome back. For what's going to happen in the future, this sounds like a setup. And what do I mean by that? I mean that they will use this event where the U.S. Department of Defense had their employees connected to AI, China's AI DeepSeek, for 48 hours before they could find it and shut it down. I don't know about you, but if my job was to work for Coca-Cola and I was willingly giving all my information over to Pepsi, I would think that I wasn't doing my job right? Or if my job was a security guard and I was handing out, like they do in California, the free goodies to all of the shoplifters, I wouldn't be doing my job right. And so how anybody working at the Defense Department for the United States government could connect to China's AI DeepSeek and not know that they were doing something potentially malicious blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. So I smell a false flag coming. I smell something worse coming down the road. They say that the Black Hawk that hit that passenger plane did not have its transponder on. It was designated as a priority air transport, according to these reports. I can't speak on their validation. That means there was a high-ranking military official, or could mean that, allegedly, on board the helicopter. Who was on board? And then the doomsday plane going up? Interesting. Definitely interesting. And then we had that audio at the beginning of this broadcast where they said there was one on board taking them directly to Washington, D.C. I doubt it was any Russian figure skaters they were going straight to Washington, D.C. with. Trump's top tariff guy favors broad duties for a range of issues, including artificial intelligence. This is his pick for Commerce Secretary, saying that the country-by-country tariffs will be used to address a host of economic issues. He says, I prefer across-the-board tariffs. Let me see if this is the right way or not for you. That's backwards. They say, I prefer across-the-board tariffs. That's Howard Lutnick telling senators during his confirmation hearing. He also said tariffs must be debated about AI and export controls. And that with such controls, we could have, it's going to be really hard to find out what's going on. He says they stole things, they took things. Lutnick said of China, they've taken our intellectual property. It has to end. Lutnick repeatedly argued against targeted tariffs, saying that they could lead to an unhelpful tit for tat, or we spike China with some tariff, China spikes us with some tariff, and things are always worse for you and me in the middle. Interesting things to look at. Shrimp fraud, Gulf Coast restaurants, and we don't always, that's why I like these live shows, is because we can talk about a little bit less of the really doom and gloomy things, and just more ways that we realize this is crazy what's happening. Hundreds of restaurants, maybe thousands, are supposed to be caught up in this. Their customers are feasting on crustaceans. They're giving them imported, so from other countries where there's no regulation, telling them that they're straight from your Gulf of America. You notice how this will be changed soon. Right now it still says Gulf of Mexico. A consulting food agency tested the shrimp. Now that's from Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, Florida. A significant number of the restaurants were saying that they were local. Guys, to make a buck, you can't trust anybody. You really can't. 4 survivors, claims NBC. Whew. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Update. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Slow down there, we the people. Hold on. Okay, I just had to turn this around. So this is Hexeth.
All right, update this morning. Just got off the phone with the Southcom commander and the chairman, the Joint Chiefs, talking about our efforts at Guantanamo Bay. That is ongoing. We're leading forward on supporting the president's directive to make sure that we have a location for violent criminal illegals as they are deported out of the country. No one's going to wait on the Defense Department, and we're working that in real time. But I also wanted to give an update on the tragedy that happened last night here in Washington, D.C., and provide a little bit more information.
Interesting choice of green screen color background there. That's one of those things that I would watch out for in the next couple of weeks. Now, obviously, they're not using a green screen in the background. Maybe it's a balloon screen. I don't know. Because you can put that color green, which is the chroma key green, against a blue screen, and that chroma key green will still come out.
As we are actively working to investigate and understand what occurred and why. At about 8:48 last night, a UH-60 assigned to the U.S. Army Aviation Brigade in the Military District of Washington, Fort Belvoir, Virginia, collided tragically with a civilian airliner. The unit involved, the Army unit involved, was Bravo Company 12th Aviation Battalion at Fort Belvoir. It was an annual proficiency training flight. And when we look at the crew, and we're not all kin have been notified, so we're going to withhold ranks and names at this point. We do know.
Okay, so how can 24 hours go by? You have national information, and they couldn't have called 4 people's family.
On our side, who was at this point, a proficiency training flight And when we look at the crew, and not all kin have been notified, so we're going to withhold ranks and names at this point. We do know on our side who was involved. It was a fairly experienced crew, and that was doing a required annual night evaluation. They did have night vision goggles. The 12th Aviation Battalion, as of now, is granted a 48-hour operational pause on contingency missions as what happened is reviewed, and a senior level aviation team, an investigative team from our Aviation Safety Center, was deployed last night and already is in Washington, D.C. to investigate.
Hey, Brian, glad to have you here. Special thanks to Brian, all of our members, for being members of the community here and asking that all of these lives be out there for everybody.
And at the right altitude at the time of the incident. As I mentioned, next of kin notifications are ongoing. It's a tragedy,
Thanks,
a
Amy.
horrible loss of life for those 64 souls on that civilian airliner, and of course, the 3 soldiers in that Black Hawk. They're in our prayers, their families, and their
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you. Thank you for telling the truth. Thank you for the super chat.
It's gone from a rescue mission to a recovery mission, and we're with all the first responders that are moving actively too. So at the Defense Department, our thoughts and prayers go out. We are actively investigating to find out what happened and why. And as we get updates.
How old is Hexeth? I know Hexeth is on the T, right? Hexeth age. 44 years old. I mean, yeah, I'm sure he's on the T. That's testosterone for anybody who doesn't know. Maybe a little bit of Botox in the face there, because you see the wrinkle lines are a little bit stronger here. Or maybe he's just got that good regimen.
God bless.
So that was interesting. I like that they're doing this with the Department of Defense. I think there needs to be more DOD to civilian communication like this, and Hexeth should take advantage of the fact that he has a lot of a position of strength to be able to deliver this information to the American people. So I hope that they do this. Yeah, so the Doomsday plane, it was reportedly out last night at the same time. And we had audio right up at the beginning of this of them saying they were taking at least 1 body, but requesting 2 taken to Washington, D.C. So a lot of information coming out. Now, Hexeth right here, he said that they were an experienced crew. They had night vision goggles.
The unit involved, the Army unit involved, was Bravo Company 12th Aviation Battalion at Fort Belvoir.
There's no need not to, tinfoil. That's what these lives are for, so we can actually talk like people back and forth.
Not all kin have been notified, so we're going to withhold ranks and names at this point. We do know on our side who was involved. It was a fairly experienced crew, and that was doing a required annual night evaluation. They did have night vision goggles.
Yeah, I think so, Tom. So he said they were doing a mission. They had night vision goggles. Why they, how they didn't see, or whatever happened there. Strange stuff, guys. We've got to watch it. Okay, I'm going to make this back to normal. Walmart broccoli recalled. Risk of death, says the FDA. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration raised the recall of this ready-to-eat market-side broccoli. So market-side is the Walmart brand, so watch out if you have anything there. They say that it violated product safety, could cause exposure, a situation where the reasonable probability that the use of or exposure to will cause adverse health defects. Contamination with listeria. So if you have watched, if you have eaten any of this recently, and you're having some of these conditions, let's see what some of the symptoms are. Listeria. It's not good, especially if you're older or you have a compromised immune system. Wide range of systems, they say. Symptoms. Hey, thank you so much, Layson Henry. Appreciate the $9.99 super chat. I wish there was a way that I could just, you made the $9.99 super chat. I wish there was a way I could just make you a member. Let me look and see. I don't think that I have that possibility. Let me refresh here on this page and see. I wish there was just like a grant membership thing, but I don't have that. So YouTube, hopefully you'll start working on that. So if you'd like to support us in the future, please become a member. Just hit that join button down there. $9.99, $14.99, whichever one you want. One we give back to you with survival cards. The other one you're doing for the community, and we can give you more behind the scenes comments and content. So thank you so much. Listeria has a wide range of symptoms, they say. Some severe, invasive symptoms, stiff neck, confusion, loss of balance, convulsions. Well, that's not good, guys. At-risk groups are pregnant, newborn, unborn children over the age of 65, weakened immune systems. So watch out. Listeria is a bacteria, contaminates foods. Now, if you're cooking, if you cook your broccoli, so is Listeria killed by cooking? Now let's see what temperature kills Listeria. So yes, it's killed by cooking. What temp kills Listeria? 165 degrees. So you boil your broccoli, should be safe to eat. I'm not a doctor, not giving you any medical advice, YouTube, but consider that. Don't eat the raw stuff if you're worried about what you've got. This is funny. Okay, let me invert this here.
Yes, what do you want?
Mr. Chairman,
before we go to leave,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, what do you want?
I love this guy. Mr. Chairman, I'm unlike Senator Tillis. I mean, if we're going to start this, I want an extra 3 minutes.
Well,
now, my friend
That's true.
Senator
Jordan's
Carr,
right about Discord.
3 minutes over.
So, you hear what you're saying is the chairman wasn't a very good chairman by not shutting her up. But I've gone through this before, and I think I know how to handle it. And
I think you're a star-spangled awesome chairman. I just want to say that for the record. But if you're going to let somebody over there go 3 minutes over, I want my extra 3 minutes.
Well, let's see if it's abused by anybody else before we make that decision.
I'm just telling you, I'm going to abuse it.
It's a little bit dog and pony, right? Like when I watch these things, yes, I like to see the realistic grilling. I like to see the hard truths come out in the ways that the public can hear it. But then you get a little bit of the dog and pony there. Let's see. RFK Jr. Now, this was, guys, if you own this stock in something, I'm sure that he doesn't slip a Zyn in, but he does slip a nicotine pouch in because I have another video or image of him holding it in his hand. It was green. It was like a mint flavor or spearmint flavor or something. But he not so clearly puts that nicotine pouch in his lip. He's the type of guy who just didn't screwing around, right? Like this is like old school. This reminds me of some 1940s, 1950s. The doctors smoking in the office as you walk in. Now, a lot of the information on nicotine pouches, there's a lot of mixed info. I'm not going to give you any of my opinions on it. I am going to tell you, though, that there are studies in existence that say it's a pretty pure way to get nicotine. Now, I'm not telling you to do that. According to social, all nicotine is bad. All caffeine is bad. In fact, I just breathed in some stuff that was bad. So don't do any of that. But if I tell you not to breathe, then we're in even more trouble. So we just have to say nicotine's bad. But here's RFK Jr. slipping in that Nicky right there. Pinch between your cheek and gum. Love to see it, guys. Okay, let's see. China's military building a let me flip this around so you guys can see it. China's military building a massive complex in western Beijing that U.S. intelligence says will serve as wartime command, one larger than the Pentagon. Military strategists say that it will house large, hardened bunkers to protect Chinese military leaders during conflicts, including, potentially, nuclear war. Now, this is a project. There's is that Z? I know he hates that Winnie the Pooh correlation. There is an understanding that China is getting ready for the war 1,000 times faster and 1,000 times more wholly than the United States of America. Caffeine is essential to life. Yeah, nicotine's in tomatoes too. So, why is China getting so ready? Do you think we are ready as a country? I don't think so. But I hope that we as individuals begin to be as ready as we possibly can. Let's see what we've got here. New director of the FBI, Kash Patel, confirmed releasing the Epstein list. You can't even, I can't even say it more than that. I better call it Eibstern, the Eibstern list.
Case, I have worked on, I want to talk to you about the Epstein case.
And there she goes, blowing our cover. Here we are thinking that we did good and YouTube's not going to jank us for it. Here she goes, blowing our cover.
Trying to get those records of who flew on Epstein's plane and who helped him build this international human trafficking, sex trafficking.
Okay, all right. Let me skip to Patel here. Okay, all right.
No, who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in
come on,
trafficking rings.
Absolutely, Senator. It's child sex trafficking.
All right. Okay, but Patel's going to get it out there, they say. Now, the problem that I have with that is there's going to be a lot of people who don't want their names to be named and their knowings to be known that are going to be really, really mad that their names get out. And you've already seen the PR, trying to get out and get trolled. You've already seen the PR, nicotine in tomatoes. And like Bill Gates is out there. So here, somebody asked about nicotine in tomatoes. Yes, tomatoes contain nicotine, trace amounts. The average tomato has 332 nanograms of nicotine, much less than that in a cigarette. Let's ask how many tomatoes does it take? Like, do you have to eat to feel the nicotine? Okay, all right. 20 pounds of tomatoes to get the same amount of nicotine as a cigarette. Well, I don't know about you, but I guess I'm going to the store to buy 40 pounds of tomatoes. Okay, so a lot of powerful people are not going to want their names to be outed. And who are they going to come after? They're either going to shut up the people who are going to out their names, or people are going to start getting whacked.
On that day.
On that day specifically.
What were you doing on that day?
On that day specifically, responding to, preparing to mobilize and deploy the National Guard. Once we got
screw that, I'll just I'll smoke a cigarette.
Which was the mayor of D.C. and the Speaker of the House.
Now, how many days in advance were you working to prepare the Department of Defense to help secure the Capitol on January 6th?
We covered
days in advance, Senator. We were in the Oval Office on an unrelated national security matter with the President of the United States, the Secretary of Defense.
Let me say, look up nicotine, nicotine in broccoli. Significant amounts, like tomatoes and potatoes, do contain trace amounts. So how much broccoli do you have to eat? How much? And I'm not, do I look like Big Broccoli here? Do you think I'm a sellout for Big Broccoli? Does this look like the head of a floret? How much broccoli do you have to eat to feel nicotine? Broccoli. Okay, all right, now you're trolling me, Google. Here we got Google saying broccoli doesn't contain nicotine. And then here we've got saying significant amounts. Okay, all right, significant.
The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and myself and the president authorized up to 20,000 plus National Guardsmen and
sorry, Jay, I can't.
Women to secure any security measures necessary related to the Capitol. So we were moving to the fullest extent of the law before the requisite request came from a local governing authority days ahead of time.
And while you were Chief of Staff at DOD, how many times did DOD approach Capitol Police and ask if they needed National Guard assistance?
I believe those letters are well documented.
So he's talking a little bit about the J6 thing now. Okay, I'm not gonna scroll up to tell you what this is about, right? Because, yeah, there's nothing on your head. Hey, now, I have like a freckle or two, and like if I do this, it looks kind of like, I don't know, hot dogs or something. So I'm not going to tell you what this is about. I'm going to tell you that it's in Ireland. This is an area where there's a lot of people who were organized to come into this country, and they have settled in there. And that's all I'm going to say about it. And so this guy is a landowner or a house owner, and he's trying to kick these people out, presumably and reportedly, for not paying the bill. Now, I don't want anyone to watch this and say anything that's like, you know, that you already know YouTube isn't going to like. But why are you... Look at these dudes. How are they going to let Susie get out here in the middle, right in front of these guys who are literally terrorizing their family? When you... And I've got another video up here of an actor, that Idris, whatever, he played in the Dark Tower movies, where they're like, you know, we're going to have to be innovative soon and take the points away from knives, right? So I've got this knife, right? Like, I've got a knife right here, okay? And what is it? It's a tool, and that's it. I can open up some stuff with it. I can open up some other stuff with it. But it's a tool. And what they have found is that when you take away the kinetic projectile tools like this from people, they go on to other things, because the criminals are still going to criminal. And so the people who want to somebody are going to just pick another tool. And even though it's harder for you to take someone's with this than it is with this, they will resort to poking eyeballs with this. Or they will use, I mean, look at this weapon. Have you guys ever seen a weapon of this sort of potential destruction? Because the government will. You already see it in other countries. The government will come for it. Why? This is dangerous right here. Basically, if it can't be, if you can't have it in jail, well, then you won't be able to have it in your house. Because anything can be, yeah, you better watch out. There's a rash of olive oil attacks. Wild that there's just terrorizing going on and not a thing to be done about it. Now, somebody says broken windows and trash. This looks like the people who run this, who own this place, they're probably operating it in a kind of like not the best way. So I can't say who made this mess. Maybe it was the homeowners. Maybe it was the landlords made this mess or won't clean it up or whatever. But all I can say is that you have a terrorizing of people, and everyone's too afraid to talk about it. Yeah, why would you ever show your back to anybody? I mean, wild. Okay, so the FDA. Let me flip this around for you. The FDA has reportedly greenlit something called Jornax, suzetrigine, a non-opioid painkiller that blocks pain signals before they hit the brain. Let's see if we can find a little bit of information about this. This was January 30th, so this is today. First drug to be approved in pain management. I'm trying to figure out what it actually is so that we can see how it operates. And if you see that I missed it anywhere up here, it's a contraindicated for concomitant use with strong CYP3A inhibitors. Don't drink grapefruit with it. Let's see. What's it made of? Or is it all synthetic? And if it is synthetic, trust me, it's going to be addictive. Chemically composed, meaning it's made up of carbon, hydrogen, fluorine, nitrogen, oxygen atoms arranged in a specific molecular structure. Okay, so they tout this as being this great non-opioid thing. What they've probably just done is made a new class of addictive drugs. Sick and tired. Brad, you and my boy could be twins, look exactly alike. Well, thank you so much for the super chat. And at the risk, if you were just like, hey, Brad, you look this way, I'd be like, okay. So I'm glad that, we find some similarities there. Interestingly, does he have similar interests in world events and, news and keeping the family safe? So thank you so much for the super chat. So I won't be taking this, but I don't take any painkillers. Experts say that it's a game changer. In the trials, it was just as effective as hydrocodone after surgery, but without the high. Yeah, sure, bro. Except, I guess, if you eat some grapefruit, because maybe you get crazy high then. It's so insane, they say, to see jobs that have been given to cheap, illegal labor. Legal immigrants say they're hiding from ICE. A couple days ago, there were a bunch of roofers on there. None of them are showing up to work. They say it has to. Hold on. It has to happen and be done. As a Latino myself, this person writes in, it's a disgrace that they get benefits and handouts. It's ridiculous while people like me have to claw to get anything. And so I talked about this recently. I talked about this, where our system is the corrupt part. And they've made it so that you either have to be way up here or way down here to live a relatively stress-free life, right? You have to either be so rich that it doesn't matter you're spending 25 grand a year on insurance that you might never pay for, or you have to be so far below rich that the middle, the lower, the middle, and the top tier middle pay for your health care. That's the problem. We have a problem in this country. Now, let me flip this around before we watch it. So this is reportedly a neighborhood going up. Now, should they be making these neighborhoods? No, probably not. Do we already have enough overpriced housing? Absolutely. Is there a hedge fund behind this that wants to do nothing but rent out for the rest of the next 100 years? Most likely, but here we are nonetheless.
A bunch of roofers on here. None of them are showing up to work. It's fucking hilarious.
Bro, you had to do that to me? So he says there's roofers, none of them showing up for work. I have heard about this all across our country. I will take an aspirin. Actually, I've got some low-dose baby aspirin right here, and I've got big boy aspirin over there, plus all my supplements. I've got vitamin C, turmeric, I've got some taurine, I've got some ginger, I've got Emergency, which Emergency has a lot of other stuff in it, B12 up there. And for anybody who really wants to go to town, Flintstone vitamins. Why? Because I guess I was like terrorized in my youth, always wanting the purple ones or something. And so why not take it? Plus iron. Let's see. Kash Patel Senate hearing. Senator Grassley releases previously unseen FBI emails referencing something called Project Arctic Frost. Let's do a little quick search and let's see what Google tells us about that. Let me just type in conspiracy, right? Google doesn't want to tell us anything about it. Very interesting. Let's see what Grok will tell us about it. Now, Grok is Twitter's or X's version of a chatbot. Several different initiatives in gaming, upcoming first sci-fi, software development, student project, media content creation, Minecraft map. Is there a conspiracy? Based on available information, there is indeed several conspiracies. Frosty the Snowman AI conspiracy. There's a unique and whimsical theory suggesting that Frosty the Snowman could be an early version of artificial intelligence. Okay, Jack Frost and snow. All right. I mean, I guess we're at a no-go there.
The FBI's that's never been made public before. Now I'd like to call the committee's attention
I know,
something
Paul.
I'm going to share with you, information about the FBI's that's never been made public before.
My power is blinking here, so if it goes out, you guys have a great night.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. In my hand are a series of FBI emails. The first is an email that Tebow sent.
Yeah, so it's mirrored, it's flipped, inverted, just for videos like this. Otherwise, YouTube and other outlets don't like you even commenting on them.
To subordinate agent on February the 14th, 2022, he said, quote, here's a draft opening language we discussed, end quote. The draft opening was attached and it included material that would later become part of Jack Smith's elector case. The second email, February 24th, 2022, email from Thibault to John Crabb, a prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, saying, quote, I had a discussion with the case team and we believe there is predication to include former President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Storm says it's not instilling confidence that the dude needs somebody right in front of him to show him what to read. It's funny, I saw in one of the Senate hearings today, or one of the confirmation hearings, it was just that thing happening. Like, the guy was arguing with the person, and they had a helper come in, and they were like, oh, now say this, and no, oh, now say this, and they were just slipping them information. Why is it super to be backwards, or supposed to be backwards? So that it doesn't get caught by the bots on YouTube or anywhere else as republished information. It gives us a chance to comment on what's going on, because that's all it is commentary on events that are happening.
Subject, end quote. This FBI case would later be codenamed Arctic Frost as a predicated subject, end quote. This FBI case.
Okay. FBI case, Arctic Frost. Okay, let's see what we can find here. I don't see anything coming up on this Arctic Frost. FBI's, okay, the investigation into Trump was dubbed Arctic Frost. Spearheaded by a known agent, permanent subcommittee on investigations. Let me make this the right way so you guys can read it with me. They're releasing legally protected whistleblower disclosures that prove the genesis of the federal election interference case brought about against Donald Trump, beginning at the hands of an anti-Trumping FBI agent who acted outside of the protocols of the FBI. They say that internal FBI emails and predicating documents provided basically confirm this. So that's interesting, okay? Definitely interesting. I hope we have a lot of truth come out sometime here in the near future. Guys, we are nearing on our hour. Actually, we're over our hour, but I do want to get through with the rest of these, so let's get through them. Trump announcing an order for big icebreakers. Why do you think that is? Why? Because we're probably going to some icy territory soon. Tulsi, right here. Am I still mirrored? Yes.
Twice. And yet the FBI and intelligence agencies were politicized by his opponents to undermine his presidency and falsely portray him as a puppet of Putin. Title I of FISA was used illegally to obtain a warrant to spy on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page, using a Clinton campaign-funded false dossier as their so-called evidence. Biden campaign advisor Tony Blinken was the impetus for the 51 former senior intelligence officials' letter dismissing Hunter Biden's laptop as disinformation.
Isn't that funny how that went away?
To help.
How you can have, like, it's like a spell is over the minds of people, right? That we've got the whole Hunter Biden thing. Hey, this guy got laid today. Or at sometime, look at this guy in blue here. Let me see. Let me flip it back around so you can see him. He's right over the shoulder of this lady. Right there, got his blue lay on. How you can have the realization that so much corruption is happening that the president's son, who is also spearheading all of these companies and making all of these deals with all of these nations and all these powerful politicians and everything, literally on video being a crackhead. And everyone's like, everybody has sons. It's okay. That doesn't matter. Everybody has sons. You're not getting the problem with the position that this guy's in and the power that is wielded from this position. So I don't know really how we as a country can just look past certain things.
Biden win the election. Former DNI James Clapper lied to this committee in 2013, denying the existence of programs that facilitated the mass collection of millions of Americans' phone and internet records, yet was never held accountable.
Somebody says
Under John Brennan's
she's hot.
leadership, the
420 all
CIA
day says she's hot.
used
I don't
its
know
power-
either. She's got a filter on, or there is exactly 1/4 inch of makeup and foundation on her face.
To spy on Congress, to dodge oversight, lied about doing it until he was caught, and yet has never been held responsible. Under Biden, the FBI abused its power for political reasons to try to surveil Catholics who attend traditional Latin
There's
Mass,
only 30 million
labeling
in
them
crack,
as
Brad. You don't reach corruption until you've stolen 100 million. Apparently, and even below corruption, we don't even have any sort of like morality issue.
quote unquote radical traditionalist Catholics. Personally, just 24 hours after I criticized Kamala Harris and her nomination, I was placed on a secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. Sadly,
Secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. Let's do a little bit of looking up at that. Quiet Skies watch list. So the Quiet Skies list is a list of passengers who are subjected to enhanced security screenings at the airport. The list is created by the TSA's Quiet Skies program, which uses government intelligence and databases to identify potential risks. The program uses algorithms analyzing travel patterns, foreign connections, and other data. Passengers on this Quiet Skies list receive additional security screenings. In some cases, they probably can't go. And what you see happen with a lot of this is somebody on this list will go to the airport, right? And they'll have a meeting somewhere. And it's well known that they're going to sign a bill or make a deal or whatever. And they'll hold them at the airport for hours, half a day, and then say, oh, I'm sorry, something tripped, you can't go. So watch out. I like your live chat. You should change your videos to this format. I appreciate it. Okay, let's get back to what she was saying.
there are more examples. The bottom line is this: this must end.
Okay, that was her. I like this old guy. I don't know if you've ever seen him. I don't even know his name. If somebody knows his name, he's a young man, really. If somebody knows his name, please put it out there so people can go watch him and support him on YouTube. Follow him at Huggins Comedy. Maybe that's his name. I don't know. Grandpa knows what's up. Okay, I just want to listen real quick, okay? Real quick. Let me see if we can... This might get the whole video taken out.
I just paid off my student loan.
I just love this, man. Why can't we all be funny?
They said, nah, you're good.
He said he was trying to use an aging app, and they said, no, you're good.
I went to the doctor because I thought I had arthritis.
You thought he had arthritis.
I don't. I have early onset rigor mortis.
He's got the early onset rigors. If you want to laugh, I hope that we can find out. I hope somebody down in the comments knows this guy's name so that we can make sure we push some people over there to go watch him, because he is a funny guy. Senator Tom Tillis created a bingo card. Now, here's how you know it's dog and pony, right? It's a show. It's a circus for us. These guys are supposed to take their job seriously. But this guy's over here creating a literal bingo card.
I created a Kash bingo card
for Kash Patel
that I have available to any of my colleagues who would like it on the other side of the aisle. Some may view this as an unserious caricature and not appropriate for this committee. Sadly, I consider it a serious caricature of what I expect to be witnessed today.
Now, if he was actually serious about his job, what could he have said differently? Because you must not get into these positions with all of your integrity. So if he wasn't thinking that this whole thing's a joke, he could have said, I created a list of things I knew would be derogatorily talked about for Kash Patel today, and here's the list. We've already knocked out 4 out of 10 of them. No, instead he makes a printed bingo card and starts crossing them out for everybody. So you know it's a joke.
I think we'll have words like enemies list and deep state. I've already X'd out 4 boxes in the opening statements alone. The fact of the matter is, some people will be here to simply substantiate a...
All right, let's move forward. I want to make this video, this regular for you guys to see it. This is for anybody. You're going to have friends and family that are going to say, nothing happened this year. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing ever happens. Those are their go-tos because they don't want to get it into their head that they have to take some personal responsibility. Or and don't get me wrong, I'm not really talking down on them. I'm not throwing any sort of heat because a lot of people literally can't handle it. The added stress of knowing that there are things outside of their control that they have two choices. They can either prep really hard for, knowing that these things happen, or forget. And the forget part is really easy. And the prep part is a lot harder. So observe this oddly channel live stream. New Orleans. So they all say nothing ever happened. The New Orleans New Year's attack happened this month, this year. The Las Vegas Trump hotel explosion happened this month, this year. The, well, that's not really a big, I don't know how that made it on here. The Perry donkey who modeled for Donkey and Shrek happened this month, this year. Southern California wildfires this month, this year. Prime Minister Trudeau resigning this month, this year. TikTok ban, which turned out to be a little bit of a pony show for you this month, this year. Donald Trump's inauguration. Historic winter events happening, Black Hawk helicopter and the airline collision, all this month, this year, along with many, many more things. We've had tons of kinetic projectile events taking place, terrorizing American citizens. We have huge immigration washes. We have all these things happening this month, this year, and it's 2025, and we're not even 31 days into the year. So it's very, very important that we pay attention to this and we get ready. This is an interesting view of that chopper crash. There we have a very prominent part of our country. And then look down in the lower right, lower left behind it. That's the plane coming in, exploding. Such an interesting way to see it. And I really hope that there isn't more to it than the terror that it already is. They say that, listen to this.
I want to speak directly to people who are undocumented.
Now, who is this? City Mayor, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey.
We love you. We care about you.
Now, don't get me wrong. What he's saying right there?
I want to speak.
I agree wholeheartedly with this first part. And I'm going to catch a lot of heat here in the community for it, but I agree wholeheartedly. Listen.
I want to speak directly to people who are undocumented. We love you.
Boom. If he could just shut up right there, I'd be in agreement with him. But he can't shut up right there. For me, of course, bro, I love all these humans until they do the wrong, until they do something harmful. Why not? I mean, why not show love? Like, we went down, my family and I took the first family vacation we ever have last year. The first one we ever have. Because we decided instead to just spend time together on those times. But we actually went somewhere, and we went to Louisiana, and there were so many people on the streets. And Kelly and I went out, and we got things for them, and we dropped them off, and all we wanted to say was, we love you. And that really sunk in for so many of the people because they just don't have love, bro. They don't have love in their life. Now, if this guy could shut up right there, I'd agree with him. But he can't. Listen to what he continues.
We care about you.
Okay, that one too. I'm there with you. And I think this is where it ends.
The city of Minneapolis, we will stand up for you. And we will do anything in our power to help. Because you're not an alien in our city, you're a neighbor.
We're getting a little bit of gray here.
Now, in Minneapolis, we have what is called a separation ordinance. And that separation ordinance states...
I wish I knew sign language because I can never tell if the people are trolling us or not.
It's clearly that our city officials, our police officers and beyond, will not be gathering information showing who is and who is not documented.
Isn't that beautiful?
We do not...
As long as you're a criminal in certain ways, fully supported by the government. How does that make sense? How does it make sense that as long as you're a criminal, only in these areas, fully supported by the government? Don't pay your taxes, not supported. Don't pay your property fees, not supported. Not going to pay your HOA because they tell you that your mailbox was too green, not supported. Anything else that you do that you're a criminal on, you're not supported by the city, the state, the government. So why is it this? Why is that okay?
Ask the question with regard to immigration status, and because we haven't asked the question, we don't have any data to show documentation status in our city. Our police officers will not be cooperating with federal law enforcement around federal immigration law.
I just don't get it. Like, why can't we see people out here saying, why don't we have mayors standing up that say, you know what, as a state, as a city, we're no longer going to prosecute you for not paying your property tax. We're no longer going to demand that you pay an additional tax when you buy something at the store. We're no longer going to, all the tickets absolved. Why not that? Because they pick and choose, guys. It's all a corruption game. Okay, this is Atlanta, Georgia. I want to flip this just so you can read what I'm reading. Atlanta, Georgia. This is Veronica Arnold, social media, reassuring people who are in this country illegally in Spanish that the police are not after them and won't update ICE on them. Even if we find an undocumented person, they say, we are not calling, we are not helping or reporting you. Now, Georgia, I'm not so sure about that. And again, I don't know Spanish, so I don't know whether what she's saying is legitimate or not.
Bueno, casi toda la gente me está preguntando que le explique sobre ICE y qué es lo que está pasando con eso. Entonces,
my bet is for taking a stance like that, she probably won't be in that position on the street for very much longer. This happened in New York City. This is terrible, okay? A man stepped in to defend a woman after a deranged person, I don't know whether this guy's homeless or not, so I'm not going to report on that, tried to steal her phone. This isn't the way we should be living, says this report. How did we get here? We're sending billions of taxpayer money overseas while our own citizens can't be safe in their own city. So let's look at this. You know, this is what I tell you guys. You don't know when an act of violence is going to come to you. This lady right here was literally just walking down the street. There's tons of people around. She thought this was safe. This is in New York, right? This guy chooses her, apparently randomly, chooses her and says, give me my phone back. Okay? He sees her, right? Thinks about it right here, makes a decision to act, runs up to her, threateningly bows up on her, tries to snatch her phone, starts yelling, give me my phone back, in the hopes that others nearby or she'll feel coerced into it. Somebody finally stands up for this woman.
That shit ain't your phone, nigga.
Okay, well, I didn't need that in there, so I don't appreciate that, bro. But yeah, definitely crazy times. Okay, here's Hexeth. British people keep okay, listen to this, okay?
The truth is that kitchen knives are perhaps 25% of the knives used in most of the terrible crimes. That's one of the stats in the films. And those kitchen knives are usually a domestic situation.
They're trying to make a case for you not to have any kitchen knives in your house.
Okay. So kitchen knives, of course.
And the problem with using actors and celebrities, they've completely coerced 80-90% of all actors. They're all in the same clique together, right? And they all feed each other in a kind of echo chamber of what reality should really be like. Because let's face it, their job is lying. And Sandra Bullock said it herself in an interview with her kid. Her kid said, why are you so good at what you do? She said, I'm the best liar there is. Because that's what actors are. me see if I can find this clip real quick. Sandra Bullock, Sun interview, why? Okay. I don't think that I would find it very easy because I think it was like years and years ago. But her son, in a kind of mock interview, but on the red carpet, says, "Why are you so good at your job?" And she tells him, "Because I'm a liar and I'm good at lying." So these people in an echo chamber, the celebrities, they all feed each other their lies, right? And they live outside of reality. And so here they are. And the problem is, citizens listen to them because they have some sort of spell over them, because they either love their the money that they make, or the lives that they live, or the lies that they tell, or the personalities they portray. They fall head over heels for it, literally lose their freaking minds. And so the problem with using these celebrities, and Hollywood knows this and politicians know this, is that you can better control and manipulate the minds of the many by getting one of their idols to talk to them.
It's very difficult, the domestic knife. I do think there is areas of innovation that we can do with kitchen knives. I hate to say it, not all kitchen knives need to have a point on them.
There you go, guys. Let's face it. Your knives don't need to have a point on them. In fact, the sharp edges don't need to be that sharp if you just learn how to cook your steak better. And maybe if we don't actually have steak and instead we have a processed plant product, you won't even need a knife with a sharp edge to cut through it anymore. And then, you know, instead of having a knife that people are using to cut their food with, well, they won't be able to use that for harm. So they'll just use bats, or they'll just use anything. They'll use flashlight edges or whatever they've got in front of them. Crazy.
That sounds like a crazy thing to say, but actually it would reduce, you can still cut your food without the point on the knife, which is an innovative way to sort of look at it. And in a country in crisis, I'm sorry, but yeah, let's look at that.
They've already made it illegal, Northern Hillbilly. So if you are caught in the commission of a crime, or suspected in the commission of a crime, or just walking if you can't prove to the cop why you have that hammer or why you're carrying that bat, they're going to charge you with it. And if you don't have the money for a lawyer, you're stuck with those charges. And then they'll say it's okay, just do a no contest plea and pay your court fees, because that's part of that corruption game. So they will come after everything. And then whatever doesn't make sense for you to be carrying, rolling pins. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like, we got to figure out some ways, because this world is losing its mind. British Cutlery Company releases square tip knives that can't stab people. Makes all the difference in the world. Aren't you glad I'm not using a gun? This comic writes. So guys, world crazy, right? World getting crazier by the minute. But what I know is that we are going to survive. And as a survivor, we're going to need to prepare. I hope that you and your family are doing what you can to prepare. Thank you guys for being here with us. Full Spectrum Survival only on YouTube. This has been another great live show. Special thank you to all of our members. If you haven't joined us yet, down there by the subscribe button, there's a join button. Please join us there. And, it's my job to make sure that you get your money's worth out of that. You're investing into me and my family. It's my job to return that investment. And so far, so good. I think that we're doing a great thing here with these shows and everything else that we're able to bring together as a community. So thank you guys. From my family to yours, I hope that you have an amazing night. And I hope that you do your chores, you do your preps, and you have some fun.